Hi, welcome to my garden. Today is March 26th. We're looking at a Helleborus, a Lenten rose, which is in full bloom. I am Karen Torvik, and I'm going to talk to you today about, hi everybody, about pruning, a little bit of pruning, fertilizing, adding soil amendment, and mulching, and deer repellent. Let's look back here at one more Helleborus because they're in bloom right now and they're so beautiful. And one thing great about these Helleborus or Lenten rose is that they are deer repellent. The deers really don't like these. So these are a great plant to put in your garden if you are having deer issues. Over there is some bloodroot. Aren't those beautiful? So pretty. Okay everybody, so our first thing is to talk about pruning. We're going to talk about some pruning over here. I'm going to first work on a hydrangea. This is a perennial hydrangea, and I'm going to prune pretty low. You can see the green bud that's sticking out. I'm going to prune right above that. All these branches are going to essentially be pruned. You can see where past prunings have been here, these old dead stems. There's nothing in this shrub that's going inward, which is another principle of pruning, that you want to remove inward growing limbs, but we don't have any. Also with pruning, it's very critical that you use a good pair of pruners. These are a bypass pair of pruners. They lock easily. You want to keep them sharpened and cleaned. If they start to stick, it's probably because they are dirty. All right. Another thing about pruning, here's another shrub just getting ready to bloom. You can see all these buds that are coming. This is an Inkianthus. It has lovely little blueberry-like flowers in about a month. But if I pruned this now, I'd be pruning off all the flowers. So a lot of plants right now you don't want to prune, like the forsythia, the hydrangea, well, where the buds are showing. You don't want to prune off your flowering buds. Okay, that's really important principle. All right, now we're going to walk over and look at a clematis. When I first started doing gardening work, I didn't realize that all this dead stem really does have live buds on it. You see that live bud there? And I erroneously pruned all the way down. You can prune pretty high on the clematis. This is about 4 feet. I pruned this yesterday. Actually, here you can see a new bud really emerging, all the foliage coming out. And even over here, this is, see how nice and green that stem is inside of there. That's indicative of nice growth. All right, so that's selective pruning just on a couple things. We did not talk about hedges because that's a different kind of pruning. So today we're going to talk about some other topics. How's that? I'm going to talk about fertilizing now. You want to fertilize when plants are actively growing, and that's shrubs as well as turf and trees. We're going to fertilize now because we're having a lot of rain, and the fertilizer is leached down through the soil and accessible to the roots. This first fertilizer that we have is a vegetable food. It's high in phosphorus. This middle number is what promotes rooting, flowering, and fruiting. That's nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. The same thing on this turf fertilizer. You see here 24, 25, 4. So this nitrogen is really high because this really promotes the greening up, the chlorophyll formation in turf. General fertilizer that I use around the home, I generally use a 10-10-10 or 12-12-12 at this time around all my shrubs so that they get a nice start on the spring growth. Now I want to talk about soil conditioning. This is a perfect time to use soil conditioning for the plants that we love. Our soil is kind of alkaline, so we need to add acid that helps the soil have a lower pH, and the plants can absorb nutrients and minerals easier. I use Hollytone. You can also use bone meal. You can also use Mir acid. The Hollytone, this is an 18-pound bag. It has about 54 cups in it. You use 1 to 3 cups per plant depending on the size. It comes in a granular like this. It's easy to handle, and you just use it like you're feeding chickens. All right, almost last thing is talking about deer repellent. I use Liquid Fence. I buy the concentrate. It's kind of expensive, so when you do use it, you want to measure it. This is about a 4-ounce cup. I have a sprayer that's 46 ounces. You want to use 6 ounces per half gallon, so this is about 4 ounces for this container. So I measured and I make sure that this is a 4-ounce cup. And I measure and mix it into here. I actually used this yesterday and I used about half of this. There's still some in here that I'll use for a second application if it rains or in about a week. If you keep applying it a few times, like maybe 3 or 4, that's going to have a smell all the time that the deers and rabbits don't like as a repellent. Another option is coyote urine granules. Don't ask me how they collect that. I don't know. All right, one last thing that's pretty important. Mulch. Everyone's selling mulch right now. It's a big marketing thing, but really you shouldn't mulch until about the end of April. Our soils right now are cold and wet, and so mulch acts as a blanket, keeping it cold and wet. And roots like to grow when it's warm. So keep your soil uncovered for another month. Let this nice sunshine come in and make the soils warmer. Then when it starts to get drier and hotter, you put the mulch, and that'll make a nice blanket of coolness for your roots and your plants. So one last picture we're going to show you is one last Helleborus. This is a red Helleborus, Lenten Rose. Isn't that pretty? Anyway, happy spring. Thanks for visiting us today and hope you're doing well. Take care. Bye.